Okay, hello everyone, thank you. This is the November meeting of the Wildfire Safety Advocates of Waikoloa. Just a reminder, we are recording up there. It's not live on Zoom right now. I didn't set that up like we did for our last two meetings, but I'll post this and edit it and people can watch it and check it out tomorrow. So that is going on over there. And just thank everyone for coming today. I really appreciate it. The most important thing are the things that are closest to us, and this road is the most important thing that will actually impact all of our lives. And so just showing up and being here for that and keeping it moving forward is a huge, huge, huge deal. And I really appreciate and want to thank each and every one of you for being in the room today. First item on the agenda right here. So we haven't really had a meeting for 2 months, right? Well, 3 months now, because of both of the town halls, and those went great. I think that we really learned a lot from each of them, and I think that we got some really wonderful commitments out of it, and that it resulted in some meetings that are coming down the pike here. You see that really we got the attention of everyone. But before that, we've been asking everyone to submit comments on the general plan through the Conveyo platform, and thank you so much, Brittany, for sending that out to your entire mailing list. We got a total of 56 comments on it, which was the second most of any organized group, and it's also the one that I know that we had a meeting with Mayor Roth and Planning Director Kern, and they were very impressed with it. It meant a lot to them in that room. So we have a voice, and we are actually showing up, and we are being heard, and that's a big, 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 big deal. So thank you so much. I assume everyone in this room probably put a comment up there. I know I did. I saw all of our names, but there were a bunch more beyond this, and our reach is getting out there. People are hearing it. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that tremendously. Yes. So we have had 3 very high-level meetings that I quite frankly have no business requesting or being granted based upon my position or experience, but people are giving them to us because they take it seriously, they care about it, and they want to make it a priority. So we've met first with Ed Sniffen, the State Department of Transportation Director. He's a big deal because he is in charge of all the airports, all of the seaports, and all of the state highways. His budget is somewhere around $1.2 billion annually. Compare that to the county of Hawaii, which is somewhere around like $700 million. And it was, I don't know, Bob, how would you characterize that meeting with Ed Sniffen?
Extraordinary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wow. Congratulations.
When we walked in, he said, what's your timeline? When do you want to get this done? And I said, well, we want to get it done this decade. We want to get it done before 2030. He said, I'm not going to be here that long. I got to get shit done. That was his word. So he said, how about 3 years? Which, just took us right off guard. That's the kind of answer that you rarely ever get from a politician or a bureaucrat.
Until now.
And well, we don't know yet. I mean, we got hopes. But that kind of blew me away, and we ended up talking about what he needed to get it done. And he was. He gave us 2 assignments. He said, I need to know what the alignment for the road is and what the budget is going to be. I need to know how much money this is going to cost. So he needed an engineering analysis, and that's what we think is coming forth from the developers, because we met with John Birch, and he told us, basically he said, I'm trying to get this whole project done, and my first step is to get an engineering analysis done, and I expect to have it by the end of the year. And he told us the contractors that he's working with, and who's doing the cultural resource analysis, and who's doing the geo analysis of what's in the ground and what they have to get moved and those kind of things. So they're moving forward, and hopefully that means that by the end of the year, we'll have what Sniffen needs But the question is whether or not Birch how much Birch is willing to put on the table. And it's not him, it's his boss, it's the developer himself. And the question is whether or not he's willing to step up with enough money to do the whole project, or is he willing to step up with enough money to do part of the project? And that's unknown. Birch doesn't know, because he hasn't taken the whole package to his boss yet and asked for it. But that is where he stands.
I will say, the takeaway that I had from both of those two meetings is that everyone wants this road to be built. There is no one out there that is slowing it down. There's no one trying to prevent it from happening. Everyone sees the priority and the urgency of it. It's just coming up with the money. That's really where we're at. We're trying to set that up and figure that out. So that, I mean, do you want to say anything else about that meeting right now, or?
Well, you know, I said to Birch at one point, we will make sure this moves forward quickly. But that was the implication of what they were saying. It's kind of like, trust us, we'll get it done.
Yeah.
But
And you meet again with the builder in January.
Well, we don't have that scheduled yet, but we
Yeah,
requested
that's
that.
the intent,
yeah, we've asked to meet with him again.
Yeah.
And I think that that'll happen. I think that we're maintaining a positive dialogue, and I think that we have the opportunity to be partners going forward. So,
Yeah, Birch was very positive in his meeting with us. We asked him, you know, what can we do to help you get this work done that you gotta have done for your boss, for the developer? And can we meet with the developer? And he basically said, just don't screw things up. That's what he said, is I'm carrying this forward, I'm gonna do it as fast as I can. And basically he was saying to us, don't try to stop my process. You know, don't get in the way of the developer at this point.
and we won't,
And we won't.
as long as I keep moving forward.
But that's why we want to meet with him again in January to see whether or not in fact he did get it done. Did he get the engineering report finished? Is that something he's now submitted to his boss? Is that in play? Where are they with coming up with that?
Yes, sir.
Just a question on, did you ask John about the groundbreaking ceremony? Because you're having these different layers, right? You have your conversations with the county, conversations with the state, and the developer saying, we don't want to play with any of those people or the community. We want to stay in our own lane, which is, their prerogative. They're trying to do that without this other kind of influence or delaying the process, right?
Yeah.
So
And without public money.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had this groundbreaking ceremony.
Yeah.
So the state's already kind of like, identifying this is what we want to do. Are they communicating?
So they are now, for sure. And yes, that came up in multiple of the meetings. Yes, some of the document requests that I made over the summer were targeting that ceremony. And yes, I told people exactly what I thought about that ceremony. It did not mince words in any way with them. They all have different opinions of what actually went down that day, what the purpose of it was, as do I. And the point is, I don't think that the governor wants to be caught with his pants down and saying that this is going to happen and that it doesn't happen. And we intend to make sure that they follow their commitments.
That was the most important reason for him to be there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the other important reason was to have Sniffy commit state money to doing the intersection. That is
That will,
committed.
yeah.
So that was a critical piece. That's what John Birch needed out of the state, was the intersection. Because without that, and nothing else could be finished.
And I mean, I don't want to get too in the weeds. If anyone really wants to see all these emails and documents, you can, but that has been a problem in the past, that intersection. And it will be a tricky one for sure. If anyone's ever driven past it, there's a really tall, like lava flow drop off right there, a ridge right there. And the last quarter mile coming off of it is gonna be pretty steep. On the plans that I've seen. So it's not gonna be like a nice long Waikoloa road with a stop sign, a stoplight at the bottom and everything. It's gonna be a little different than that for sure. It will eventually be a 2-lane road that what I've been saying is I'm not gonna stop talking about this until I can drive down it while fire trucks drive up. And that's true. I'm gonna keep on making this an issue of being annoying to people until it happens.
Okay,
Okay.
let's move on to something a little bit lighter. We're thinking about moving the date of the meetings to the second or third Wednesday of the month, unless there are any objections in the room. And specifically, we're trying not to conflict with other relevant community meetings, including county council meetings, so that our representative can attend our meetings. We did not realize in the past that there was a conflict, but now that we know, we have an opportunity to switch. So unless there are strong objections, we might move to a different Wednesday or Tuesday. Okay, great.
Do we now know whether any of those dates are open for us?
The second and the third Wednesdays are available.
Oh, is it both of them?
Are available.
Oh,
I'm waiting on the county council calendar though, just to make sure it
Are those gonna be in the same first and third Wednesdays? or
doesn't
whatever?
know yet.
Well, I kind of highlighted with Aslan a little bit, and there's a tentative schedule out for 2025. But their schedule, they basically meet every other week. And sometimes if there's a holiday, like the first week, it bumps things down, so things shift around a little bit.
But the normal is the first and third.
Let me pull it up and take a look again.
Are there any other dates that are problematic, or anyone have any specific comments on those? We don't know what schedules are. I've heard it's Whiskey Wednesdays at Johnny's on the first Wednesday. That's the reason some people don't show up, so I don't know what's going on in the community.
Okay, let's move on
Yes.
to, if anyone wants to grab me after about scheduling, please do. But let's move on to the civil defense.
This is exciting news. It has not been issued yet, but the civil defense is in the process of issuing an RFP for a real full-on evacuation plan for Waikoloa Village. And that, they think that they're gonna go real fast once that is actually issued. They hire the right contractors, but we're looking for next year sometime before we get the road, we're gonna have an actual evacuation plan that's been signed off by the government and done by professionals. So I'm excited about that for one. Yes, Ms. Wood?
I have a quick one for you.
Oh.
CDP has been asking me for Waikoloa Village Association, or Waikoloa Village's emergency evacuation plan, which I thought was a little bit ironic. I'm like, you guys are putting in an RFP, and so why is planning asking us for this? You can get it from civil defense.
That is interesting.
Twice they've asked me.
Recently?
So,
CDP, planning department, and I kind of thought.
I don't know how much we can talk about the Waikoloa one right now. There's an interesting old one that if someone wants to hear about it, come talk to me later. There's a story.
There's an old evacuation plan that is not relevant just now because it doesn't include the entire village, or account for the widening of our road down Waikoloa,
Right.
so it's not relevant. But yeah, we're very excited to finally be getting a real evacuation plan.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you mention that civil defense also planned to fund an extensive study? I think you said maybe next year, I remember hearing in the last meeting, like a hazard study or something like that.
Hazard mitigation.
That's a county-wide, it's a county-wide one, for hazard, yeah.
I think 5 years.
Great, yeah, I did not mention, but thank you for sharing. And we'll do. So that the hazard mitigation one is the whole county, and it's not just fire, presumably it's probably volcano, tsunami, all sorts of stuff. Great, excellent.
Oh, sorry.
Just a quick question, talking evacuation, any update on the sirens?
I should check on that. We should write that to the list. And yeah, no, because that has been promised how many times? And Julia might know more than me.
Sirens, we were supposed to get the last 2 polls, by the end of October. And I reached out to Tim Richards' office, and we're still waiting on him. And then there's gonna have to be excavation that's gonna have to be done. And there's 2 different vendors. They're saying, yeah, I'm getting one thing from Talmadge, I'm getting another thing from Senator Richards' office. So I'll share that with you guys, and you can add it to your website.
Thank you.
Okay, please.
Well, we asked the mayor if he knew anything about the sirens, and he said he didn't know.
To state, yeah.
No.
Because it was false.
And I've actually asked for a third one, because it's probably gonna take 10 years to get on the south side. I'm just trying to be forward thinking.
Yeah.
And, for the evacuation plan, what comes with it? Like, are we just gonna get a report, or do we actually go into the community and?
There's gonna be community engagement and output, we'll have a chance to contribute to it in some way, whether it's community meetings or we go over there, or if there's a small committee, I don't know, he didn't commit to the specific format for how that was gonna happen, but he did say that the community would be involved, and I made it clear that our group wants to be very, very prominent in that process, so, yes?
You heard anything about the runabout? You guys heard? I hear all kinds.
I mean, I know,
It's kind of getting,
if you want me to check up on that, I wouldn't, I'll email Steve Ozzie about it, I don't know, do you know anything about the roundabout right now, where it's at?
They're just waiting for acquisition of the land on the corners. So they're waiting for one of the parcels to go to auction. So it's kind of a reduced cost on the county. That was part of the delay.
but that delay is gonna be next year, right, 2025, right? That's what they're looking at.
Yeah, the end of the
When
year.
they go do that condemnation for that
Yep.
piece, right?
End of the year, early next year, so that's the last I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's posted for the auction is like January, third week of
Yeah.
January.
Okay.
But there's also a plan to put in a traffic light down at
The lower part.
the other road that comes out of.
Far down at Quarry?
Yeah.
The industrial parks that are.
I think it's at the bottom.
Oh,
now,
yeah, it'll be.
Yeah,
Yes.
opposite, the road that comes in now, and the industrial park's on the other side, and there'll be a crossing there.
Yep.
Castle and Cook area.
Yeah, so there was supposed to be traffic light there. So what I see happening is once there's a traffic light there, everybody's gonna drive out that way.
Yes.
They're not gonna stand here waiting at the stop sign, especially if you're trying to turn left, but anyway.
We're supposed to also have that road that goes from there all the way to Hulu, so it would avoid a lot of intersection traffic
Yeah.
further up the hill, but that's a Castle Cook thing.
I actually think this is an interesting discussion, Matthew, maybe the next time you talk to Talmadge, because I wonder how a potential roundabout or a light here would affect an evacuation study, and if it's how they factor in not yet done
No, yeah.
projects that affect traffic flow so heavily.
Yeah, plan infrastructure, that's a good question, I don't
Talk
know.
to Talmadge.
That,
My
highlight that.
biggest fear would be we get this brand spanking new evacuation plan that does not account for something, and we're like, well, it's irrelevant.
Outdated 6 months, yeah, great.
That would be- I'm sorry I said it. Any other questions about, I know we just covered a ton. Top story, how are you feeling?
We got these asks here also, that we can talk about a little bit,
Give them a moment. Think of a
the
question.
prompts, those are prompts right there.
Okay, so looking into 2025, I feel like the meetings that we had where we brought people in, where we had Hawaii Water Service and where we had Hawaii Electric come in were so informative, so well attended, and everyone in the community really liked it. So what we're working on now is putting together a list of other speakers we can bring in, other community groups we can bring in, and then other relevant community groups or committees that we could go to, that we could present at and bring our message and what we're advocating for too. So any ideas, if anyone has any ideas right now, I'd love to hear about both outreach presentations, places we could go, and then who you'd like to hear from for meetings as we're sort of planning our calendar for 2025.
So Matt knows this already, we've talked extensively about evacuation plans, and when I read the prior one, I was extremely concerned about it, and I will preface that by saying I've read so many of the state of California and other states' evacuation studies done, and you did a lot of previous work on looking at some of the numbers of disabilities and all kinds of other things. I'm extremely concerned when you read that prior plan it says Waikoloa Village, which the county is going to be looking at Waikoloa Village, not Waikoloa Village Association. But it says very clearly in that plan that it only applies to members of the Waikoloa Village Association. So I preface that by saying, I'm extremely concerned about getting some inroads into groups like Paniola Estates. They're part of our village, and we are not talking to them about evacuation. So we need some connections there. We need to be able to either do some outreach.
We've got a couple of us here that come.
Jane lives
I agree, and I didn't mean to say that derogatory, but I'm very concerned about that.
Yeah.
And I think we need to talk to the school.
Yeah.
Because what the evacuation plan did not do, it did not look at different days, it did not look at periods of time. You mentioned that, Julie, in yours. But you've got to be able to have a plan that looks at a number of different scenarios, different roads, different one-lane roads, you know, temporary evacuation routes, all of those kinds of things, or it will mean nothing.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, I'd actually love, we tried when we first started our group to put flyers at the other HOA buildings, and we either couldn't find them or there was no way or place to post a flyer. We were having trouble actually connecting with the other HOAs because I think there are 11.
Well, yeah, but a lot of those are like the different like condo associations that are also
Sure,
within.
but
In
I
Pioneer
mean, I think
Estates,
it's
it's
a
not
good-
an HOA, right? It's just a community. And there's also all the workforce housing groups. So if anyone's got any ideas of how to get in connection with any of those groups, absolutely. I really love that we did the talk stories at the school, because now I know the school coordinator and we can contact them. And absolutely, that is my nightmare scenario, an evacuation on a school day. And that has been made clear to everyone. And so that absolutely, I agree. And I made it, there's a reason that I posted a lot of documents on the internet. I haven't posted all 1,400 of the pages that we got from WIPA for a lot of reasons. And I also haven't posted this evacuation plan. I was told in no uncertain terms it would be dangerous to do so. And so it's not up. And we won't encourage that. And so the one that will come out eventually will not look like that. And it won't be just the WVA, it won't all sorts of other things. So yes. Yes, Dave.
When we talk about communities and getting it out, looking at other associations, the other thing, if you think about breakdowns of communities, are the churches. I mean, especially down in school. There are communities in themselves that are all part of our community. And they're getting together, obviously, for services, but even their events. And finding out what their social events are to then say, you know, either to present to them, and get that involvement that's not coming through these meetings, or that's not coming through monthly WVA meetings and things. It's maybe a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, one way to deal with this might be for us to put together a set of questions that we want the county plan to address. So rather than waiting until they come up with something that's gonna have a bunch of inadequacies that we're gonna have to complain about, you know, be proactive first and say, here are some of the critical issues that the community is most concerned about. And we want to make sure that when you're putting together your draft evacuation plan, that you address them. And that in doing that, we can reach out to churches and the school staff and others, so it becomes a vehicle for communicating these issues with the groups that we want to engage. And we end up delivering something to the county that forces them to answer those issues up front. Because it's always harder for them to change things after they've already put together an initial proposal. You know, they've gone through all their staff process and they vetted it internally, and then they put it up for comment. It's harder at that point for them to respond than if we lay out a bunch of issues up front. And they can work through those while they're doing their initial development.
I'll send you the people Kikumu and on the south side, the low income housing. I've got the offices there.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Okay,
COVID days, I was dropping off test kits.
Okay, yeah, the office numbers would be great. Yes,
Yeah.
what's up?
I was told by Victor that in 2025, he looking into have a transit system within the Waikoloa village. That's what he said, because I sit on the transportation commission, but we never got a meeting, so I'm trying to work him out. But we had a meeting with him with a senior, Waikoloa senior citizen, and we asked him, are you gonna bring back the transit system for the older people that cannot drive? We get a fire, what about the people that don't have a way to get out? Who's responsible? Is that the police department responsibility, the fire department responsibility? Who's responsible for those people?
Yeah. Is there a list too? Do we know who all these
We
people
have to
are?
identify them first.
Yeah. No, these are good points, Lee. Yeah.
And I asked him, because he said at one time there was.
Wasn't there a shuttle that went down to the back, or a bus that would go back to the back of the village? Was there? Oh. Where the hell am I? Just off of this house?
Stephanie started with the senior here, was trying to get them to help her plan this. They asked her to plan it out for her, and she's asked for help, because she doesn't know how to put this all together. Stephanie and the senior brother, and sometimes they said the police and the fire and the rest of them.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we can give them.
Sure, totally.
They probably tell us what you need us to do.
Absolutely.
I just say, please.
We want you to present one of these days, yeah.
To answer that question, when we were evacuating Mauna Kea Beach Resort, we did provide rides because there were stranded tourists vacationing.
Okay.
They grabbed their things and we took them a hop over to Mauna and then come back, because we had to finish the evacuation.
Was it just in the back of cruisers, or was it like in a van or something?
Back in whatever I got. 400s, whatever you try to make it work, right? Yeah, because we're dealing with an emergency.
Yeah.
The first half of the day we were at Kuala Ranch, and then all of a sudden Mauna Kea started catching on fire. So, you know, we went from there to there. So, to answer your question, yeah, we'll do the best we can, but we gotta let dispatch know, hey, we're giving this person a ride. She's agreeing to that. We can drop her off at Mauna Resort. Mauna was willing to let the guests stay there because they knew the circumstances, right? So,
It's a bigger population though, in the village.
yes. But I'm just speaking on my personal experience. I was here for the evacuation for Pukapu, was it Pukapu, right? We got a lot of people not taking it seriously for oh, do I have to leave right now? Oh, I'm packing up. And then we really had to not go to some really old ways of, okay, I was in charge of Punui. And Punui is a big street.
Yeah.
I was like, so, you know, getting in and out of my car, driving from one driveway to the next, I was like, I want to just leave my car here and just walk.
Right.
You know. So, and then we had to think of something like, okay, I had some like engineering thing. You know, I'll keep it off on their mailbox. Okay, there's still people here. Or we'll go to chalk, marking the driveway. There's still people here. So it's a challenge. It's a very big challenge. And then you have the medical ones that need some kind of medical device with them, oxygen or whatever it may be. I'm not completely versed in that. And then you have people on Queen that needed to get back up to their medication. So we had all kind of things to deal with. So that was just my personal experience, my personal take from that evacuation.
So with PSPS, I remember they had a special form if you had a medical device that really required your power not going up. I don't know if you know this because I know it's a new system, but is there any way for Hawaiian Electric to share that data with police and emergency response?
It's private, it's only to that medical information.
We talked about that at hospice today.
Oh, you did?
I don't think there's a way for them to be like, this house stays on, but then the rights,
Yeah.
there's no, I don't know what the purpose of that is. We were trying to come up with solutions for that too.
So
Most
somewhere
of the
it's
hospice patients are
like a database of
oxygen, yeah, but maybe just having the data.
Yeah.
I said before me.
But I don't know how public that's
tough.
That starts to be it for the.
So one of the conversations we've had with the Waimeras of Italian, you probably talked about this in Waikoloa, it's difficult to identify, and we've never found the solution about identifying the people that need that additional support, whether it's that additional ride or that medical evacuation sort of thing. And it's really working with the different groups that may have the express knowledge. So whether it's the senior clubs,
Right.
that it's really just that phone tree sort of thing. And unfortunately, I don't know, we haven't really found a way around it. And even the church groups might have a knowledge of their members, their parishioners that have that need, and don't have that vehicle or could be stranded easily. That is still a hurdle that we're trying to figure out a way to.
But
And it's,
that's part of your comment, Matt, about, or coming up with all the questions, and what do we want in this? Because when we look at some of these more extensive evacuation plans in other, like in California and other states, they have listed all those things in different scenarios, and who can help? Neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
Is, I mean, we look at our street and say, we know up and down our street that you need a ride to get out, or, so you have all those kinds of things in the plan. Who needs medical assistance, who needs a ride? So that you're not just relying on limited resources.
Well, you know, we have those good neighbors that, officer, we're leaving right now. They're all packed up and they're out of here. You know, whether they're going, coming down Waikoloa Road, and whether they're going corner or around the block up to Waimea. So there was the good ones that took it seriously. You know. And then I heard you guys need a voice. I do put out a newsletter every month. And I can maybe create a page and let them know that you guys are having your guys' meetings.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
And I can post a monthly meeting on my calendar. So the last page is the calendar. And I'll put it on there whenever you guys decide the next meeting is. You know, it just might reach the right person. I don't know where it goes, but it penetrates the community.
Yeah.
It goes to church groups, to the schools. I also do North Kohala as one as well. I'm at my 500 contacts. You know, we have the free version. But at 500 contacts, a couple of them are resort managers. You know, so he feeds it to his whole staff. A couple property managers, they feed it to their neighborhood community. So, you know, I can do that for you guys.
I would appreciate that. That'd be amazing. Thank you.
And then I can put a link in there because it's an online newsletter. You don't print it out. You look at it on your laptop or your phone.
Can you share it on social media though? Because I can't.
Yeah, social media.
You have a link.
Yeah.
I can't share.
I can link up your website, so if you want to learn more, you just click here.
Okay.
And it'll take us to your website.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Well, we can.
Of course, you're always personally welcome every week. This is a community open meeting, so we always want everyone here.
But we would love to invite you back in 2025, like just to
Of course.
Yeah, well,
sit down and answer questions.
Yes.
kind of like a police day. Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, one person that came out of mind, if you guys are asking, Kramer Stafford from he's the president right now. He's the Hawaii Safety and Security Professional Association.
Or the resort.
Because the resorts are planned, they plan every year, and they look at their plans every year.
Yeah.
Of course, theirs is reverse, right? Tsunami come up here. Right? And they're in the same contact, I hear names coming up, College and all that.
Yeah.
It's just.
I mean, a lot of their employees live up here in the building,
Exactly.
so like that matters a lot.
That'd be a good start.
No, that's awesome.
That'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Yeah.
for the suggestion.
You're welcome.
Any other ideas?
And I want to get the PTA guys here probably those days.
Waikoloa.
Can I share with you guys the results from when we did that big survey?
Yeah, we didn't post it. I have that, yeah.
So if you suss it all, you can find out.
Yeah, I mean, it's some crazy stuff.
It's a monster.
I brought that up with people because,
What are you talking about?
so after the 2021 evacuation, Julia sent out a survey through the community. You got like 1,000 responses, didn't you?
No.
You got a lot, and like a third of them were seniors who said that they required assistance leaving, which if you multiply that out to the population of the village is horrifying. And I mean, this is a thing that we didn't even need to bring up, but I had strategized bringing up in that sniffing meeting if I needed to like get his attention and everything. Lahaina and Waikoloa Village are very different communities, right? Like we are much older, much less connected. We are not multi-generational families, all live in entitled areas. We're discrete little pockets of people that moved here don't know the area, and don't necessarily know one another that well. And that's a recipe for bad stuff to happen if we aren't being proactive and getting on top of it. So again, thank you all for being in this room and being with us to talk about it and do all that stuff. So yeah, any other stuff that you guys want to talk about right now?
We were doing the community markets every month, but I think we're gonna pull back and do them maybe quarterly. We were sort of reaching the same people over and over, and a lot of them were tourists who were like, what are you talking about? We would love volunteers for that, whatever we're gonna work with Ann Worden, who puts on those markets, and see if, now that she's been doing them for I think a year, she has a feel on what months would be better for us to go.
There also might be a night market in Waikoloa next year, so that might hit a different demographic, like young families or, locals, and some ages, so.
Well, we've got all these new events coming up at the stables.
Yeah.
This Friday is gonna be the Stargaze.
I'll be there.
That's gonna be new, and then they're planning these music events in big ones. So we might wanna plan to have a table in those events. Because that's gonna bring people out, and then most of it will be local.
And the plaza, Waikoloa Plaza, through that Halloween event, I don't know if anyone went, I went with my niece, their child, and it was fabulous. There were so many young families there, local young families, and I was like, these are the people that need to know what to do when something happens. And like, I never know how to tap into that, but maybe the plaza's doing more things and building, so many more new places, and opening that now that HPM is being moved in, the car wash, like all that stuff. There might be an opportunity to engage with them. So
Totally.
I like another event.
A thing that I did a couple weeks ago, I forgot to mention earlier, speaking of reaching to other audiences and everything, is like I went to the spooky STEM night at the school, where they had after school, they were making slime and whatever, and I made a little box with a fan on the end, and I put little confetti embers, and I made peely grass and fountain grass, and I was showing how the fountain grass burns more than the peely grass. Just having a little conversation with all the kids, and more importantly, I was passing out flyers to all the parents and getting them signed up on the mailing list. So we got like 20 parents from the school from that. So we're trying to make inroads in other locations too. With that in mind, there are only, I think, two sets of parents in the room with young kids here. We do want to know possibly if there's an opportunity to do that on a different night, if that would be helpful, to have a parents' night or a weekend or something like that. I don't know, but that's a thing to think about a little bit for the scheduling. We might not do our full community meeting, but like a lighter second one. And an idea that I've been having for a while, we've been streaming and stuff like that at the town halls. But I'm quite serious about like doing like a weekly video game stream or something like that, where I'm literally just on a WSAW account playing like a drone simulator or something, and like people can come in and talk and hang out and chat about stuff, sort of like office hours for a professor, but it might be a way to reach like younger people, but I don't want to look like totally unprofessional, so I'm going to toss it out to the group and you guys can sort of think about whether that's a good idea or not. As a different group to reach out to. And I've also been reaching out to some of the schools up in Waimea where they do more capstone programs with their students that are actually in the group, and I might have one or two that might be interested in doing something with us. So that might be a thing that might be coming along for some other young people. But I really am enthusiastic, and I really do want to try and there's a lot of young people, they're just at some risk, and I think that they get the right nerdy Matthew at 16, the version of me 20 years ago, dedicated to something, and I think that they'll, who knows what they can do.
I also remember that they're meeting with Hawaii Wildfire Management.
Oh yes, I'm meeting with them on Friday.
I think that HWMO would be a great group to come in
Oh, yeah.
and speak with us, because there's a lot of overlap in sort of the areas, obviously, that our groups are interested in. So maybe when you talk to Nani, you can invite her to a meeting.
Well, what about?
No, I was gonna say, you're asking for other thoughts. I have been thinking about, the county has all the ideas about to-go bags and, and they say, get up and go. And we all laughed at that when they kept putting it out, going, where are we gonna go? I got my bag, but where are we gonna go? And Kendra and I were talking about this. We just spent a long time putting ours together. It was not easy. And I went by all their recommendations and I ordered these fire-safe bags off Amazon to put all my papers in, and I'm looking at my supplies not only for us, but my cat, and how am I gonna grab my cat and get it in. So also, I think it would be a great idea to do a demonstration.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That actually, what does it take to do that? I mean,
That's a
it takes
great
going down to
idea.
Walmart and buying a few supplies and making sure you have a can opener and make sure you have some supply. But it is not okay when parents are just buying food and finding that hard. It's not easy to say, oh, and by the way, I'm gonna prepare these boxes that are in my garage that I can just grab and throw in the car. I mean, I even got clothes and everything else in there, so I think it would be,
It's a good idea.
people respond to hands-on.
Yeah,
things.
absolutely, that'd be cool
And
demo.
we could do a demonstration.
Okay, that's good.
This is what it looks like, and here's where you can go, and here's what it might cost, and maybe if you can't afford all that, we'll do some sort of fundraiser to help, help put
Yeah.
boxes together.
Well, do Kendra first and then right. So, our 501c3 application is in. By the way, speaking of finances and stuff, we haven't really been doing updates on money because we are an insanely lean operation that has spent like a total of less than $1,000 thus far, and all through t-shirts and a handful of generous individual donors. But once that comes through, I do intend to make like some sort of donor push. I think that people are going to want to give us money, quite frankly. So hopefully that is soon, and we will be able to help provide things like those fire safe bags and fire blankets. And a thing that I'm really excited about that I can't believe I haven't talked about in any of these groups thus far, there's a new device out. It's called a Ting, T-I-N-G. Everyone should buy one of these and give one to your neighbor. They're $100. It plugs into your outlet, and what it does is it senses your voltage load. It learns the patterns of your house in the background, and then if it starts detecting any arcing in the lines in the future, they'll call you and they'll pay for the electrician to fix your house. And a lot of home insurance companies will provide this thing to you for free. Ours did not, but we just
It's
paid $100.
No subscription
No.
or anything, it's like one time. Ting. T-I-N-G.
T-I-N-G. I think this is like electric fires are probably the most common one, and a house fire is probably the most likely thing in the village. And literally getting every house in the village one of those would be probably the safest thing that we can actually do.
And if you have State Farm insurance, you
It's
should
free.
have
State
Okay.
Farm gave us ours.
Got it. Okay.
I think we should have done a project to get a word out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've been meaning to mention this.
Yeah, that's good, because I love mine.
Yeah.
And then we get the weekly
Yeah.
report.
You get a notification if your power's down, or if like other people in your neighborhood is powered down. I got a notification that our internet was down, and like 12 other people in the neighborhood had it down too. It was pretty cool. So,
Work is coming from you.
sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
No, that was good. That was good information. I'm just gonna jump back to the outreach and community information thing just for 1 second, because Aslan and I have been talking about this a lot. We've already made one long list, and then all the ideas that have been presented tonight need to be added to that list as well. But it's sort of a pet project for me because I see WSL as being so much more than just the road. Obviously, I still see the road in the beacon lights at the top of the list. But there's so much more opportunity in our community to be a resource and outreach to people with information that they may need or may not know that they need. And I think that this is sort of an open area that we don't have in the village. I do not say this in a disrespectful way by any means, but I don't think we're going to see that from the Waikoloa Village Association. So in conjunction and letting you know that this is a focus that we're going to have, I think it's really important that we start grabbing the resources and bringing them into the village for all of the residents, and especially those that we may not get to see at the end of every month because they don't belong to our association. It's a so much broader community, and so that's one of the reasons that we're pushing hard on it, because I think it's so important. And it has
We talked about, Kendra and I, like maybe a booth outside of KTA one Sunday morning. I see groups doing that all the time, just to get as much of a new demographic in the village as we can. Yeah, so upcoming events, just the one, and then our meeting in December. So the Leeward Planning Commission is having their special general plan meeting on November 21st. They do Zoom it, and you can give testimony via Zoom. However, I agree with Matt. We're definitely going to try to have at least a couple of us there in person, because I think that's really powerful. But there's also an opportunity to email testimony into the Planning Commission, and if you already gave comments to the general plan, you could probably take some of that language and resubmit it or repurpose it to give feedback to the Leeward Planning Commission. We're not gonna take our foot off the gas. We don't want them to forget how important this is. And then finally, our December meeting, last one of the year, will be December 4th. After that, our meeting would be January 1st, so we're not gonna do the January 1st meeting, which is why I was talking about potentially a different date. So December 4th would be our next meeting.
So before the November 21 Planning Commission, is the county planning department gonna have an updated revised version of the plan available?
I believe so. The Windward one last week was based on the old plan, the one that's the
Not the
draft.
old plan,
The final draft that's existing, that we've all seen.
Okay, so we won't know how they're gonna respond to our comments.
Nope. Or if they will respond.
Okay, I was under the impression we were supposed to know that before the planning commission.
There was, so at a certain point, when that final draft came out, they no longer made any updates to it. But the comments that were submitted online or at the CDP meetings across the county were supposed to be compiled into a separate document and as like a supplemental sort of thing to go with the plan, with all these comments from the community, from all these different meetings. And then those commissioners are supposed to receive that as well.
But is the planning staff gonna make any presentation to the commission saying, here's what we think we need to do in response to all this input?
They were on the Windward meeting. They were there answering questions. I don't think they didn't give a presentation, and you could expect. Sorry, different topic, but yeah. So yeah, they were there to answer questions from the commissioners, but they didn't give a presentation beyond that, as far as I'm aware.
They didn't answer questions from the community either.
No, just the commissioners.
Yeah.
Just the commissioners. Yeah. The other point I want to make is they have a meeting scheduled for the 21st. But the Windward went 2 days. They did a continuance because there was enough testimony to kind of push it to it. So there's a lot of people testifying on the Leeward side that could push the meeting to a second date. Yeah. At least a testimony.
My notes from the last CDP meeting said that the planning commission will put out their final recommendations in March of 2025, and then it goes to the county council to deliberate, and there will be more public testimony.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just that.
But there's no, that's a timeline for the planning commissions. The county council has no timeline for the general plan. There's basically an indefinite timeline.
Didn't the last one take 4 years?
Well, this one's taken.
7.
This one started in.
2019.
Yeah.
They made the draft.
Yeah.
And it was 4 years before that.
Or, you have to think we're still operating a lot of our policies, and for whether it's development, infrastructure, across the board, you name it, right? You've had these conversations. We're operating on a plan that's from 2005. When we're talking about climate issues or hazard mitigation, that's all our knowledge from prior to 2005. So, for me, I take that to heart because it's the longer we play. There's other science and things that are going to shift and change, and our understanding of stuff is going to. This thing shouldn't just be this thing that sits on a shelf and be so static.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
It's before 7. Look at us. We brought a lot of lines.
Yes.
Please bring some. Oh, and yeah, I don't know if this is what you were going to say, Linda. I just really want to thank Matt and Bob because the meetings that they've gotten and the advocacy that they've done, I think it took us a lot of months to untangle the web. And then once they really became the subject matter experts. I think they might know more about some of the old agreements and POUs or whatever they're called, than a lot of our lawmakers at this point. But it's pretty amazing, so. I just wanted to
You guys put I mean, I know Bob said thank the group, but you put a huge amount of personal time into doing this, and that's why things have happened in the way that they have, so we appreciate it.
It's important.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Please take some limes.
If we didn't have the response from the community that we got with these comments on the county plan, it would leave us feeling like, why are we doing this?
It's fair.
The fact that there's so much community engagement is really a source of energy for Matt and I, so it's a two-way street.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.